We are getting situated. Hope that's better. Okay, that's just gonna have to be what it is. Hi, hello, welcome. This is, what the hell is my, oh yeah, Solar Sees the World. Sorry, new channel name, still getting used to it. So yeah, today we are talking about the Sacred Whore Archetype a little bit. Mainly just like my past life experience as one, because I tapped into that at a breathwork expo and that shit was wild. So yeah, we're going to talk about that today. As if you're new here, hi, hello, because we talk about spiritual shit on my channel and just kind of anything else that really pops up. So yeah. All right. So also for my subscribers, the ones who've been rocking with me, I know you guys voted for this video. It was supposed to come out last Thursday. Here's the thing. YouTube been playing with motherfucking time. I'm not even gonna hold you. As I uploaded it, it was uploading all Thursday. Nothing happened. It would not go past like 30%. Then I was just like, okay, I'm gonna leave this alone and just let it, you know, let it marinate or whatever. Then I wake up Friday and it's just like, oh yeah, your video not uploaded. I'm like, okay, fine. I redid it, put it back up, same thing. So yeah, so now we're here, but ask and you shall receive. So I'm here to deliver to you guys. And yeah, so now we got that out the way. Let's talk about what a sacred whore is, right? To even understand what that like terminology is. And I know that, you know, there's a bunch of YouTubers that make videos about this concept. One of my favorites would be Shy the Sage. I really like her interpretation of what a divine whore is, especially when like, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not trying to be wrong, so sorry, but I believe she said that it like a sacred whore is like someone who exchanges like sexual favor for spiritual gain or spiritual knowledge. And I think that that is like chef's kiss, because that that is a very big aspect of the sacred whore archetype. You might also have heard the term like holy hooker, if you will. Divine slut. That was the one I heard recently. Yeah, temple prostitute, all of these things, sacred prostitute, whatever. But yeah, so when we look at the etymology, right, of what a prostitute is, I believe I saw someone's video, and this was like years ago when I was researching the topic, because we're going to get into that later, but I saw someone said that like a prostitute meant to like to bow or prostrate yourself in front of like a temple, right? So it's a divine whore is someone who their will and their motivations are kind of like aligned with the love goddess archetype, right? Or Venus, if you will. What else can we, sorry, I'm looking down because I have notes. Here's something that's funny, because like I realized in the other video like that I like pre-recorded, like anytime I'm trying to like recall something or like try to think about whatever it was I was about to say or whatever, like find my train of thought, my eyes end up just darting everywhere and I end up looking like a squirrely crackhead. So sorry. But yeah, so also the prostitute etymology, what I saw when I looked it up was to stand, right? And I feel like that kind of rings true, because when we kind of get a little bit more into it today, any type of divine prostitution or divine whorism, really the big concept there is to stand on business, to have like control over your energy, over your autonomy, and being able to be like, yeah, this serves me, that doesn't serve me, and transforming accordingly. So we're gonna get into it. I guess like I mentioned before, or did I don't remember. Once I recorded this video like 11 times, so my bad if I'm a little all over the place. So the sacred whore is the archetype of transformation. What does transformation look like? What is an archetype, right? So I like Carl Jung's kind of definition of what an archetype is. So it's really just like your psychic energy that's so like embedded in our subconscious that it becomes part of like the collective consciousness, right? Or collective unconscious. Hell, really both if you want to get into it. But it becomes like a second nature or like an instinct of ours, right? Because it's just that much like a part of us. Like it's literally, I feel like archetypes are kind of responsible for the human condition. And so when we look at different myths or like stories about gods, demons, angels, whatever, you can see that the archetypes really were external representations of human emotion or the human psyche, right? They are symbols of, again, the human condition, which can be isolated or can be integrated into daily life, just like however you need. And to give an example of that, you think about like ancient pagan civilizations, right? So like if their soldiers had to go to war, they're invoking warrior spirits, right? It's not that it's necessarily, again, like something that exists outside of them. Like I don't believe that gods or like any energies exist outside of us. I really just believe that, you know, they can lie dormant in us, some more dormant than others, just depending on your archetypal makeup. Think about it like a Sims game. When you're creating your character, right? You got like 20 beats, you got about like 10 different categories, right? And you have to divvy up all of that how you see fit. So you can have someone who's really charismatic, but then they got no coordination. So they just falling and tripping all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So, like coordination is still there. It's just not as strong as the other things. And that's essentially what archetypes are. Or that's how I see it. So when we're invoking these energies, right? Again, when you're a soldier and you're calling on that warrior spirit, it's really just, you know, you're activating that warrior inside of you. And because of your specific makeup from your numerology, your astrology, or any of your other personal sciences, it's going to come out like in a very particular way that's tailored towards you, if you know what I mean, right? Because again, like that warrior example, not all of us go to war the same way, right? Some of us, like how people say like your frontline warrior, some people will just walk up and smack a bitch. Some people will, you know, do the Karen route and, you know, call corporate. But it's still that same energy. It's just manifesting in a different way just because, again, of your own personal makeup. And that's why I truly believe like all this like gods and different pantheon, all this shit is so trivial and so like level one to like if you actually know what the fuck you're working. Anyway, sorry, I'm not about to go on a tangent, y'all. But yeah, it's really just about you at the end of the day. And I would say like that's also like how we can look at it. I know when I was first starting my path and I was seeing like just bouncing through the different pantheons, right? Trying to find like kind of my shtick a little bit, right? Because at the time I felt like I needed one. I needed a sense of belonging, so to speak. So just like, you know, do I like the Hindu shit? Do I like the ATRs? Do I want to stick with like the ancient Kemetic shit, all this other stuff? And I realized like all of these pantheons have so much overlap with their deities. Like there's a love goddess for every culture, right? Because that is an archetype. Again, that is something that has been just a part of us instinctively to the, like, it's just a part of the human condition. So every human, like, you know what I'm saying? So every civilization has those same archetypes. They just call it something different. You might call it Sekhmet over here. Somebody else is gonna call it Kali. It's the same motherfucking energy thread if you really want to get into it. You know what I'm saying? And then the energy that we apply to it throughout the years as well kind of contorts that archetype too. So and that's another thing too. I could even say like when I started working with Sekhmet a lot and my practice with her, like while she did reveal like her warrior side, but she's also a fucking party animal. And that was something that she had to like speak to me about, was like, hey, like you don't have to take everything, especially the spiritual shit, so serious, right? Which is so funny because when I was working with one of her priestesses, they were like polar opposite. And everything was fucking serious. Everything was do or die. It's them versus us. It's, you know, we're the godly, like exalted ones. They're not like, but again, it's just how those energies manifest within inside of you for your own like sake of being. Anywho, so divine whores, what really were their I guess place in society, right? Because we have to understand that. We already talked about what it is. We talked about what an archetype is. So a divine whore placed in society was kind of to uphold the principles of Venus or the love goddess archetype. And I say that because, for one, I read it somewhere. Not somewhere, but this is one of the places that I read it. This is a really good book, by the way. We're going to kind of talk more about, like, the whole, like, everything. But Yeah, so divine whores in place in society, again, holding up that the principles of Venus, right? So the principles of beauty, of love, and like just like love isn't really, how can I put it? I don't want to really like talk about love too much. I feel like that's a story for another time, but um having that understanding of, well, um okay, I had a brain fart and I feel like it's more pressure because I'm on live. So sorry. Because I'm like, now my nerves are like shot to shit and I can't even try to remember what I was about to say. I'm so sorry. No one's even here, so I don't even know why I'm freaking out. But um, yeah, so divine whores were direct representations of the love goddess archetype. They were living love goddesses, right? So they were like held on that like pedestal as, you know, like you are the bringer of beauty and you are the bringer of like kind of like just peace, right? Of all the things, think about all the things that Venus brings and put it into a person. That's what the divine whore was. That was like their exact place. Like, you know, a dentist fixed teeth, divine whore does divine whore shit. And it doesn't have to be like sexual, right? I want to put a big emphasis on that. Like, I feel like a lot of times when we have these conversations here on YouTube about this subject, it always goes back to the sex. And while yes, obviously that's a component of it, but it was more of a sensual practice, right? It was a energetic practice. Like you use like your sexual or reproductive energy is your creative energy. So if you're creating beauty, if you're creating peace, if you're creating just like whatever, like that's the place that it's coming from. So they were just designed to do that, you know. Essentially they were just, you know, again, that's where your talents lie. So like why not use that? And then I also want to like talk about like I know I mentioned that they're a representation of the love goddess, but then you have to understand that a lot of love goddesses have this stamp of virginity like that is assigned to them. And that is a deep subject in itself, because we have to understand how like the Christianity and like patriarchal, and when I say patriarchy I just mean as a like a political movement, not like just oh down with men. But yeah, you have to understand how when they came in and was altering like the pagan like doctrines, right? Virginity became this thing of just being like abstaining from sex, right? And all things sensual, like literally stripping Venus of her power, of those sensual powers, right? Virginity, when it was applied to the love goddesses originally, when you look up, again, the etymology of virgin, it just means like pure, like untouched, right? Virginity as like our social construct is dumb as shit. But virginity as a sense of being energetically pure, like just not like holding on to things that no longer serve you, like again, because the sacred whore is a archetype of transformation, right? So a sacred whore knows when to let things go for the sake of spiritual evolution, for the sake of keeping that beauty. Think about this. Think about, I know we all know somebody that's in an unhappy relationship and they can love each other all good and goddamn day, but they are unhappy, right? And they're just together because they've been together since high school. They don't know if they would ever find another person that will like them because of their weird kinks or their very specific interest in like gaming and nerd shit, right? So they're just together. No one's evolving because they just feel like this is what it is, right? They feel like they don't have to evolve. Neither one of them is happy. Neither one of them is doing anything to challenge or trigger the other one, right? Hell, you probably know that person's like, oh, I'm not dressing up. Like, you're on a date with your man, you've been together for 10 years and you're wearing sweatpants. Like, I'm not saying don't be comfortable. I have my sweats on now, but I'm also saying that there's a certain, like, the divine whore is beauty for beauty's sake. It's not like, it's not just, you know, going out and like, you know, for attention for the female gaze or for the male gaze. It's just because like, well, bitch, I just felt like putting this on today, so I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? But there's, when we're not in those transformative states, when we're in relationships, because we do get comfortable. And also I want to make a series about this, so let me know if you guys are interested, because in this book it really does talk about just why that that whole like psychological like reasoning of resisting those changes in a relationship. So when you're resisting these changes, you're resisting that sacred whore part of you, because it is, again, that archetype of transformation. So when you are denying that transformation to happen, you're denying beauty, you're denying love, self-love, self-care, love from other people. You're denying yourself like a lot of like blessings that you would be receiving. Like again, like Venus is a receptive energy, right? So anything that would be coming to you because you have activated that energy obviously won't, because you didn't. So that's kind of where that goes into. So yeah, so being able to yeah, kind of just inspire the people around you, right? Because again, without this Venus energy, like the world is freaking dull. And I also want to say too, the sacred whore shit is not just for women. Like, and I've seen men talk about it on YouTube, but they're always talking about it from like a man's perspective of a woman being a divine whore. I've never really heard men talk about like their divine whoredom. And I'm not just talking about like, obviously like dudes like to have sex, like whatever. I'm not talking about just like typical male libido, but there again, there's an artistry that comes with being a divine whore. Like you can be, again, like using it to get spiritual gain. You could be using it, in my particular past life, I was a healer through my sexual energy. We're gonna get into that. But yeah, there's so many ways that you can really like just again invoke those what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of just invoke inspiration into other people, right? Giving them that divine spark. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, let's get into the story time, right? So my past life as a sacred prostitute, I actually didn't really know what this concept was when I learned about it through a reading. And if you've been watching my channel, then it's that one reading that I always reference, that when I was going through my Dark Night of the Soul journey. And Priestess Sausette, she just gave me a whole bunch of information. Like I had pages of notes from that reading, because the energy was just going everywhere. And it actually kind of rings true still. So this was not a past life reading. Just, I don't know why this happens so often too. A lot of times when I get readings, like my past life just be like popping up, like different past lives too. It's not like it's just the same one. And I'm just like, myself just be calling out to me so much. Like, what's good, girl? Like, how you doing? So anyway, so I got this reading done, and Priestess Osset told me like, yeah, you know, you had a past life as a temple prostitute. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, that concept was very, mind you, I was in the split state of like, I wasn't really down the rabbit hole completely yet. I still had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know what I mean? So that concept to me just sounded like some bullshit. And I actually made this note in my original video that I was uploading, and I put a clip. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen the clip, or the reel rather. But so I was very skeptical about this energy of hearing even that term divine whore, right? Because to me, I just thought like, okay, so here's some more like spiritual hotep bullshit, to where it's like, y'all just like say certain things to make it sound good. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, to me, it just sounded like, okay, this is another like fuck nigga thing to say. This is another like just some spiritual excuse to be a slut. But again, those were my own reservations and my hangups, and just kind of spoke more to my lack of understanding of this energy, as I mentioned in that reel. So I really like, and again, like that's what the energy does. Again, like I mentioned in the reel, it draws out those like parts of your soul that is responsible for transformation. So while I was in this place of skepticism, it was literally triggering my skepticism just by even hearing the term, right? And when I get triggered, I don't get angry. I don't like get, well, sometimes I guess I get defensive, but more often than not, my interest is piqued, and now I want to learn more about it, because I don't like, especially at that time too, I realized because I was really just like re-brainwashing or like unbrainwashing like myself. So I was learning about a lot of things that made me uncomfortable. So I was like, okay, this kind of makes me uncomfortable. So let me just dive right the fuck into it, right? And I was just kind of learning more about that, and it was not a linear practice. It was not a linear focus. Really getting into like my dark goddess energy and what that means for me and how that shows up for me, and not, you know, from how other people will say, and they just I don't know. Yeah. But again, that's what that shit do. Get into your divine whoredom. Do that. So anyway, so yeah, she told me in this reading that like part of my problem that I still have to this day, like was just like I was so just laissez-faire, and I'll just be at this temple over here for like 5 years, then I bounce around, go to this temple for 10 years, then I go over here, go over there, and she's like, girl, do you ever just sit the fuck down? And she's like giggling and stuff, and she's just like, you just did not give a shit. She's like, there has not been one life where you gave a fuck, like, of anything. And that's kind of a issue that that came up in my like first round of shadow work too, because you know she told me essentially just like, sweetheart, you know, you're gonna have to want for things. This is a big thing that's like even in this life, right? Like you're gonna have to want for more for things, right? You can't just like, I'm like, if I'm good, I'm good. Like if I exist, if I'm alive, I'm fine. And I didn't notice how much that was keeping me in like poverty consciousness for so long, because when you're just like, oh, I'm here, I'm fine, you pretty much kind of fall for anything in a lot of different situations. And then at some point you just like wake up and you're around a whole bunch of people that don't align with your highest good. And you're just like, how the fuck did I get here? You put yourself there because you didn't want more for yourself. So, so yeah, so that happened. And then fast forward, years later, I went to this breath workshop. I'm actually going back because they're back on tour. So I don't know if you guys have the same algorithm on Instagram that I do, but I think the guy's name is like or something like that. It's Vitality, but it has a W. I don't know how to pronounce that shit. But so it's a breathwork workshop, and it's like a 4-hour like session, right? And every time he comes to my city, I go because it is well worth the money. I've died multiple deaths like doing this. Anytime that I felt like stagnant or stuck, like that breathwork session was enough to like push me forward. It was really, I can only kind of compare it to like doing some type of like psychedelic, right? If you ever had like a spiritual like breakthrough from like a drug induced spiritual breakthrough, it's like that. And I think it's even better because it's yourself, right? Because nothing exists outside of you. So when you're just breathing yourself into an hallucination, that's way better than like, you know, taking something to induce that hallucination, just in my opinion. I mean, I still, you know, get down with the get down, but you know. So yeah, so at the breath workshop, and I definitely recommend people to go. I know that on Instagram, like some people in the comments like just say like craziness, because there was no like actual like witchcraft and like the spooky sense of it all. It was a group ritual, obviously, because we're all doing like this purge of emotion, like breath work, but it's the guy and his whole team are really good with crowd control as far as just keeping like the momentum and keeping like, you know, the cycles like flowing to where it's not anything like you have to be kind of like worried about. I know for me, I was kind of worried about it being in an enclosed space, but with the type of the sounds that gets, you know, played, you know, so it's kind of like a sound cleansing bath as well, and all of that. Then there's people that come by and they spray like a sage spray around to like kind of keep the air. I didn't fuck with that my first time because, you know, he didn't give any mention that people were going to come around and spray. So I was just like, what is this mystery fluid just floating in the air? What have you? But either way, it was good. I definitely think that you guys should go. And if you have gone, I want to hear about your experience. If you guys want to hear a little bit more about my experience about that too, we can make a video about it. But yeah, so dog, during my breath-induced hallucination, I end up seeing my past life as a sacred whore. And I don't know if you guys have watched my other video where I talk about my past life, but I don't like to give accurate names, dates, locations, just because like that's very personal to me and my psyche. I like to keep that shit separate. Like, I love you. You don't need to know what's going on in my subconscious. Cool. All right. So we're going to say I was in Persia because I like Persia. I think it sounds sexy. So we was in Persia. And I was at a temple, again, because I'm a temple prostitute, temple whore. I might end up just saying brothel just because it rolls off my tongue a little bit better. But yeah, so I was at this brothel, and I was just doing my thing at the brothel. I was, you know, I was good. I wasn't like top ranked like hoe, but I didn't want to be top ranked hoe. I was like right in the middle, you know, like I got mine. Everything was good. Like you know, I had room and board, food, I had drink, whatever, all the freaking hallucinogenics a fucking temple prostitute could want, you know, to have drug-induced sessions to commune with my goddess. It was a beautiful time. However, the bottom bitch though that was at this brothel, and she was a bad bitch. Oh my god, she was gorgeous. But and like, I don't know if y'all seen Memoirs of a Geisha, but that's what she was giving. Like, when I tell you, like, this shit is not just about sex, like, it is a whole art form, it really was. And she embodied that. And she was the bottom bitch for a reason. So kudos to you. I hope I meet you again in this life or another one, because you was a cool ass bitch. So, yeah, so she left, right, to go travel to see her main dude, because he was like out the country. He had to handle something. I don't really know what their situation was. All I know was he was writing her. It's just like, my moon and my stars, I cannot live another day without seeing my sun rise in the morning. Bitch, come here. And she was like, toodaloo, motherfuckers. He's paying me. I'm on retainer. Peace out, this bitch. So she went. And so obviously there's a new bottom bitch spot that's kind of like open. I did not just like take all of her dudes, right? They were like spread out between, like, I guess the more like ranked like women that were there. But I guess word spread, because then all of a sudden, like, they're all just requesting me, right? I ain't mad at it. Because they tipped very well, all right? I'm talking furs, bitch. I'm, you know, like, I'm just joking, but like, but yeah, so they were pretty cool. And there was this whole situation where, like, it was this, there were these soldiers that were coming by, and they weren't like local military I don't really know what the situation was, because I haven't really, like, some of the details I'm still like ironing out. You know, like, because I don't want to, like when you're in the moment and like seeing like the shit happen, like, you're not trying to like hyper fixate. You're just like, I'm just trying to hear to get the big picture. You know what I mean? So that's where I was at with that. So there was this part of time where, again, so like these soldiers come in, da da da, da, and so they're new. So all the girls are coming out, and they're kind of just like showing off their wares, so to speak. So like, you know, one girl's really skilled belly dancer, so she's doing a little belly dance thing. There's another one that, you know, she does sword stuff, so she over there like just fucking around with the swords and just like, look at my agility hoe. And then, you know, there might have been a contortionist doing some yoga, just, you know, whatever it is that you had, you know, you was just showing it off, because you're just like what's good. And so because of like my rank essentially at this point, I just kind of like did whatever I want, because I was doing that anyway. But now I was just like, you know, now I got the gas behind me, so like, why not? And so I at this point I strictly just wanted soldiers, military dudes. To this day, I have a problem. I have a problem. Even in the reading that Priestess gave me, where she was like, yeah, you had a very biased liking towards warrior men. And to this day, I'm talking ex-military, police officer, firefighter, security guard. Like, nigga, do you have a uniform? Can you put it on for me? Can you make it jiggle? Like, so, yeah. At this point, there was like, so yeah, again, we're all showing our wares or whatever. And I see this one dude, like he's, I think he's like a lieutenant or something. I don't really know rank. I just know he was like higher ranked or whatever. And I was just like, you coming with me, let's go, da, 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 da. And I know I mentioned before, like the sexual stuff, it's not the whole of it. It's not the only thing. In this particular instance though, I did have coitus with this man. And it was so interesting, because it was like, I got to see like the actual like energetic exchange that was happening, like for real. Like, I literally, like, have you ever saw energy, bitch? I don't know if you can, like, we all have different spiritual gifts, but when I tell you, like, I like saw like the smoke of Venus, it was just very like this crazy looking pink bluish. It kind of looked like like this tapestry, like the sky a little bit. It was just like all of this like smokiness that was just kind of like enwrapped between the both of us, right? And then also being in that certain position, right? Because if you know anything about like tantra or like, you know, the sexual healing stuff, the different positions have different meanings behind them. So when you are like the receiver, right, you're in your feminine energy and you're on top of the masculine, that is a heart healing pose or resurrection pose. Because I mean, think about like the depictions of Isis on top of what's that nigga name? God. Osiris. Yeah, so like when she's mounting him and she's resurrecting him. So like how again, I identify as a woman, right? I have a vagine. So we get penetrated through the vagine, but men get penetrated through their heart space. So while you're laying on your back, your chakras are all open. So I have full access to come penetrate you right here, right? And that's essentially what I was doing, laying hands and whatnot, but also using my sexual energy. Honestly, I didn't need to use it, but I wanted to because I thought he was fine. And yeah, so that was something. And then, so here's another thing too I wanted to mention. I don't think I mentioned it before. So when we talk about like the sacred whore, like place in society. So one of the things that I've read, I think it was in the Great Cosmic Mother, you have to understand that like especially when it comes to like warrior or like military men, right? When you evoke those warrior archetypes to go to war, when you come back, you have to go through another ritual to detox from that. You are so much in your masculine, so much in your Mars energy that you have to cleanse that off of you. You have to understand too, the ancients had a different energetic blueprint, I feel like, because we have so much, like, I love my modern technologies, don't get me wrong. I could not survive without air conditioning, don't get me wrong. However, a lot of things that we have now are distractions and like, and I don't mean distractions like in the sense of like, oh, stop scrolling on your phone. I don't care what you do with your phone, but a lot of things that exist now take us away from our natural, like, I'm just saying, if we didn't have all this technology out, we would be more in tune with the earth, more in tune with our spiritual like bodies, to where it would, like, if we just thinking about that makes me hypersensitive. You know what I'm saying? So there was a hypersensitivity that those ancient people had at that time. So it wasn't just as simple as like, okay, I'm angry now, I'm not, everything's fine. Even though like we can't really, I don't know. That's not really a thing for the present time. I don't know, we just a little bit more distracted, I feel. Either way, saying that to say, the men, again, in this scenario, right? Because it could have been anybody, but for you to go back home to your wife, for you to go back into society as a normal, like balanced human being, you had to go through some type of ritual with the goddess of Venus or love goddess archetype, right? Some type of feminine ritual, right? And that, again, looked different depending on culture, depending on the time, all of that. I mean, again, I read in the Great Cosmic Mother, so like while there was, you you can get all your energy alchemized by a temple prostitute, but I also saw that, to re-engage with that goddess energy, a lot of men engage in sodomy because it's putting you in that receiver energy. So that's something, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's really was the place, was just to bring that divine balance back, right? And yeah, so there's a lot more that I guess I can discuss with that past life. That might have to be for a part 2 video, honestly, because we're already kind of long and I don't want to like keep this drawn out. But yeah, so let me know if you guys are interested in that, because I will make a part 2 if you do want to know. And if so, I'll also get more into like the psyche of the Sacred Whore archetype and how it plays. Hey bud, oh my god, thank you for showing up. I appreciate it with the comments. Whoop whoop. Yeah. But yeah, so if you guys are interested, we can talk a little bit more about the depths of the sacred prostitute archetype and how it shows up for men, how it shows up for women, just a little bit more in like our modern society, all of that, because it's a very interesting topic, at least I think so. So yeah, but that's all I have for you guys on that. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the chat. Also, I mean, we're here. Hi, I have, where is it? Sorry, excuse me. I have my pendulum. If anybody has any yes or no questions that they want to ask, cough, cough, friend that's here, help bitch out, engagement. Did you hear me? I was fake coughing while I was trying to tell you to like, help me, help bitch out. I appreciate it. If not, that's fine too. I don't know why, like, just like a week ago, I was like, I really want to make this pendulum divination shit like a thing on my channel. But I'm like, I don't really know if most people even know what a pendulum is. But, it's a divination tool. So you can say, like, can you show me yes? And it'll rock back and forth yes. And I say, pendulum, can you show me no, please? and it'll start moving like that for no. So any type of questions, it's like I mentioned in the description, it's like a tarot reading but a little less theatrical. So yeah, that's there. I will stay on for 2 more minutes in case anybody rolls in or has a question, and then we're gonna close it out. So yeah. Oh, also, I guess too, excuse me, if you're interested more in about that transformation archetype with just understanding like your goddess or like your inner like sacred like whore archetype, this book here is very helpful for that, and kind of gets into like just the art of sacrifice and why that's just so imperative like on your spiritual journey and for your soul's evolution. Because again, like I mentioned in my example earlier, like being in a relationship that's dead, right? Gosh, what was the point I was about to make? Sorry, I just got so distracted. So basically, just learning the power of cutting things off for your highest good, right? So you're not in that like stagnant place. Like Venus energy does not do stagnation, like at all. So, but yeah, so that's, I like this one a lot. Yeah. Don't laugh at my pain and my failure. It's the solar book, dog. No, like seriously, like, because, you know, even like mom says that this is me, right? Like everybody, it's big hip problems. But yeah. Like that's why I stopped leaving it on my coffee table, because every time someone walks in, they're just like, oh my God, that's you. And I'm just like, bitch. Like, I mean, thank you. But, you know, got that goddess body. Big hip solutions, nigga. No problems. Oh my God. Thank you so much for blowing the chat up, Daniel. I really appreciate it. All right, I'm turning it off. I'm gonna go cook now. I'll see you later. Oh my God, I love you, bro. Like, you're the best. Bye. Oh, thanks for the love.